All right. Welcome back to the Believe You Are a Good Mom podcast. I have a special guest today, Elizabeth. Can you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, hi. My name is Elizabeth. I am a stress coach for Christian moms, and I help overwhelmed Christian moms reduce mental stress so they can be more patient and calm with their kids. And I also talk a lot about anger management, healthy anger management for moms.
Yes, so good. Okay. Especially because had a very stressful morning. We have a blizzard going on right now. School was delayed, all the things. And so Elizabeth's just going to do some real time stress coaching for me right now. So are you a certified life coach or
No, it's just my life experience. I have four young kids
uh-huh.
myself. I've done counseling, I've done therapy, I've done reading lots of books and just going deep and learning about personal growth and
Yeah,
development and psychology and stuff, just kind of like my own experience.
I love
And
that. Mhm.
that's just kind of what brought me today. I used to struggle with parenting when my third son. So I have three boys and a baby girl. And I ended up going to counseling just because I was so worn out with parenting and
Uh-huh.
I wanted to change my kid. That was my goal. But instead,
Yeah.
it ended up working on me. I started to learn about emotional regulation and connection with children because I was raised in a traditional parenting home. So that wasn't really something my parents knew about. My mom did have a great connection with us and stuff, but it wasn't like, oh, so it would help, the child emotionally regulate. It was none
Yeah.
of that. So it was like a whole new world of positive parenting for me. I didn't know anything about it going in. And I really struggled in the beginning changing my old ways of doing things. And I struggled a lot more when I was worn out, exhausted,
Exactly.
um, had no time for myself. I struggled a lot more implementing the strategies. I felt like I was failing a lot more than I was succeeding
Hmm.
at these new skills that I could see the benefit of them. But in the heat of the moment, I just could not access them. And maybe one out of 10 times I got it right. And so I started to try to figure out, like, why can't I? Yes, there's like, you have to unlearn old ways of doing and create new pathways, but it just felt so hard. And I ended up buying a course on just like personal development for moms. And it
Hmm.
was about like, creating structure in your days and routines and rhythms. And I started to get up earlier before my kids in the
Mm.
morning. And I started to use that time to connect with God and then create some healthy habits like journaling and meditation and just deep breathing and positive affirmations. And I noticed a huge change in how I was showing up as a mom to my family, even though nothing changed really in the circumstances. And then even COVID hit, but my window of tolerance to
Yeah.
tolerate stress and overwhelm throughout the day and to remain patient and collected and grounded was so much more than it used to be. And I actually was able to implement more of the strategies I've learned in counseling
Hmm.
because I was supporting
Exactly.
myself to be in a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I say all the time is that there's plenty of, parenting experts that'll tell you the tips and tricks and tools and hacks and all the things. And we just get overwhelmed with even more things on our list of expectations of ourselves, right? Oh, no, I'm not supposed to do it this way. I'm supposed to do it this way and all the things. But none of those work at all unless we're in the right headspace, right? Unless we're
Yes,
in the right emotional place
you're so
to be
right.
able to do anything different.
Yeah, and I think that is like one piece that most of the parenting experts miss that they say, "Oh, you don't have to be perfect. It's okay. You'll fail, but just keep going. Your kids
Mhm.
don't need perfection. Oh, you need self-care, but they really don't touch on how it really affects you,
Yeah.
right? Because like if you're if your needs are neglected, if you're sleep deprived, if you don't eat, if you don't have any alone time, your regulation skills Like if you're burnt, you have too much on your schedule, you're pulled in too many directions, if you're overstimulated with so much
Mhm.
noise, if you're having mental health problems, like let's talk about that. If you
Yeah,
struggle with anxiety and depression, oh my goodness, all those skills feel 1,000 times harder, but they don't talk about that. They
exactly.
just say you have to do this, and then this, and this is going to help your kid. What about me when
Mhm.
I'm like drowning? Like,
Mhm.
and so that's where my work comes in, helping
Mhm.
moms that are feeling like they're drowning, who
Exactly.
feel like they constantly fail at just the basics.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Me too. And that's why I really wanted to connect with you. Everything you say, I'm like, yes, me too. Yes, me too. And I love talking to people who agree with me. It's fun to get different perspectives too, but it's also fun, you know. So then the how to, right? Because a lot of the experts will kind of, like you say, like mention this or whatever, but they say, like you've got to be regulated in order to co-regulate, or you've got to, I don't know, self-soothe and then do all these tricks. And then it's fun because I'm in kind of some of those parenting groups, and then you hear all the follow-up questions about, well, how do I self-regulate? What's that even mean? Da, 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 and then the course that they kind of had planned of like teaching your kids how to, sibling rivalry or bedtime routines or whatever gets derailed, by like, okay, let's talk about the mom self-regulation. And so I just really wanted to narrow in on that and be like, yeah, you have books, you have blogs, you have, Instagram now, you have all the things that'll teach you, quote unquote, how to be a good mom. But if you don't believe that you are a good mom already, then all of that just is more ammo. That's what I would use it for. It's like all of that is just more things to beat myself up about, that I'm such a terrible mom because I'm not doing it how they said on Instagram I'm supposed to do it. But instead, like to really know that we are good. God made us. God's good. He made us. He said it is good. We are good at our core. It's who we are. Then that made all the difference for me. Like really believing in who I am. And so I loved how you mentioned to wake up early, get that connection time with God, because of course that's made the biggest difference for me too. I've heard of that,
Yeah.
people are like, wake up before your kids, and I'm like, never. Like I couldn't imagine ever in my wildest dreams actually pulling that off. And all of a sudden, since I'm doing it, it has made the biggest difference for sure.
Yeah, I think unless you did it and then you stopped, you don't realize the
Mhm.
impact of how much it really influences your day and how you're showing up as a parent. I'm so sorry. That's so loud. Can you hear
I
that?
don't hear
You don't
anything.
hear the
Uh-uh.
background? It's probably going to be so my landlord's. Okay.
Okay, so don't mind that weird little interruption there. And we are talking about self care, right? And so if waking up in the morning seems, impossible, whatever, you start where you are. And if you can at least find any sort of moment in time during your day to be able to. But Elizabeth, tell us about proactively planning that instead of waiting until the last second where we feel like we're drowning and it's almost too late to go back and self regulate.
Yeah. So something that I learned about myself in the last few years is that I'm a highly sensitive person and I'm also an introvert, which means the way I recharge is by having some alone time. And I noticed that if I wait to have alone time until I feel overwhelmed or just, super drained, it doesn't really fill me up. It just like helps like maybe lessen the blow a little bit. But I've noticed that if I proactively create time for myself on a daily basis, okay, if not daily, definitely multiple times a week
Mm-hmm.
for myself to fill up my own cup, to connect with God, or just create some time to be like, put the kids to bed a little bit early, ask your spouse to put the kids to bed, or go get together with a friend. Or for me personally, I get up before my kids and have that time for myself. When my kids are home during the day, we have quiet time and the baby naps. And then with the other ones, they are in separate parts of the house. And have an hour to myself of a quiet time. And I use that time to do something for myself to fill me up. And so when I do that on a regular basis, proactively, my cup doesn't really get to empty anymore. Sure, sometimes it gets low or whatever on a tough day, but it doesn't really get to the point where like, oh my gosh, I'm just running on fumes all the time. I'm overreacting left and right. And then, right, you have that mom guilt and that feeling that you get where you feel like you're a terrible mom. You're not, you're struggling, but you feel that, right? And so what I've noticed is that when I proactively do some things that fill my cup up, that like take care of my needs, like feed myself, get myself something to drink, like literally even basics, and
Yeah, like
prioritize
how
my
many
sleep.
times have you almost even like not made it to the bathroom in time because it's
Yes.
like you're just putting out fires, taking care of things, and then you're like, yeah, I need to go to the bathroom, but I'm just going to do this real quick, or I'm just going to finish that." And then all of a sudden, it's like, seriously, we're putting ourselves so far back on the back burner that we can't even make it to the bathroom in time. And luckily, I use the bathroom also as like my emotional, like, pull it together time too. And so
Mhm.
sometimes that sends me the signal before the other signal. Um but I want to hit a little bit more on the no guilt about it, because alone time is not selfish. Alone time is necessary. And even if you're not an introvert, even if you're not highly sensitive, even if like you are a human being, you are a person, and you have got to take care of yourself. And I'm pretty sure, because I'm the biggest extrovert there is, and I even need alone time. So I'm pretty sure it's not just introverts that need that recharge time. It's all of us. And so tell us more about how we can believe that it's not selfish and that we don't need to feel guilty about it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I didn't need alone time until I had kids, and I had
Right? Because you
multiple
actually
kids.
had some. You just didn't
Yes,
realize.
yes. And after you have kids and you realize that they pull at you all day long and they have needs all day long. And so, something I like to explain to moms, like we all have a limited amount of energy,
Mhm.
and everything takes energy. Our kids' needs, their emotions, our own struggles, doing things around the house, running errands, everything takes energy. And so you have to refill that tank, or like a battery, imagine you're like a battery. And so like when you need to charge your phone, typically you plug it in and you let it rest, right? You're not like on it for the most part, right? You let it recharge because it needs that time. And so when moms come to me and they say, I feel so guilty for needing alone time. I had a client the other week and she's like, I feel so guilty for taking time for myself. I feel like I should be spending it with my family. But when she is constantly giving, 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 she's resentful and bitter.
Yes.
And that comes
Mhm.
out in being snappy and disrespectful and maybe unkind to your family. So, one of the things I want you to think about is like, what is the cost of not taking care of yourself? What is the cost of not taking alone time for yourself? How do you show up? You're drained, you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated, maybe even experience mom rage. You are snappy, you're easily annoyed by your kids. Are you actually making good memories with your kids? No, you're probably feeling resentful and bitter that everyone is taking from you. And so I believe that inner talk is really important. So the devil, more than anything, he wants you to feel like a failure in motherhood. He wants you to not restore and not take time for yourself. He wants you to burn out. He wants you to experience mom rage towards your family and then feel guilty and like a terrible mom afterwards. So
Exactly.
don't give him that power.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you start feeling guilty for taking time for yourself and your kids are like, oh, mommy, I want you to be with me, lay down with me. And you say, hey, I love you so much. Right now, mama needs some alone time so I can take care of me, so I can take better care of you.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like inner talk by yourself, you walk away and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel such a bad mom. I should lay down with him. I should spend time with him. You say, no, I'm a good mom who needs some time for myself to show up as an even better mom for my kids. Nobody benefits when you're running on empty. Literally nobody in your family or you benefits when you're burned out and exhausted. And also, nobody suffers when you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody, right? So
Yeah.
it's okay for you to have an hour to yourself and then show up as a better mom the next day for your kids instead of snapping and yelling at them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your
Amen.
thoughts?
Hallelujah. Absolutely. Exactly. And well, of course, I second all of that. And then I just want to say, just try it, because if you have the resistance to that, oh, I don't know. I really think that like time is such a precious commodity and I only have so much time I can spend with my kids and life is so crazy and I have so many things going on. Try it. Like give yourself that time and see that exactly the picture you just painted is true. Are you actually showing up as the good mom that you are when you're leaving yourself last? Or is it literally just try it and you'll feel and see the difference. um Anything else about that?
Yeah, and what I wanted to say is that at first you will feel guilty. At first you will feel uncomfortable. But guess what? Sometimes, like you ask yourself, am I actually doing something wrong right now?
Yes.
You're not. That's a great question to ask when you feel guilty. Am I actually doing something wrong? Am I actually doing something sinful? You're not. So, guess what? You can still feel the guilt and do it anyway. So,
Yeah.
I heard this phrase sometimes, feel the guilt and do it anyway. Still take that time for yourself and then create a mantra or an affirmation you can tell yourself, like, I show up as a better mom when I take care of myself.
Yeah.
When those thoughts could come in, you say, I show up as a better mom when I take care of myself. I show up as a better mom for my family when I take care of myself. Like my family only benefits when I have alone time and feel restored. Like something that will redirect your thoughts from those mom guilt thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say a healthy amount of guilt is great because guilt just tells us that we're doing something out of alignment with our values. But like you said, Satan wants to attack us with that mom guilt. And so we have to we have to pay attention to the thoughts in our heads and who they're coming from and are they even true, to battle there's 60,000 thoughts a day. They're not all true. They're not all serving us. They're not all helpful. We have to be able to have that metacognition skill to like notice what our thinking is and think about our thinking and decide, do we actually really want to continue to think that? So if we feel guilty that we need to spend a minute to compose ourselves, then we just think, wait, I feel this way because of what? And I love what you said, like, am I actually doing anything wrong? To question it and then be like, I use that question in other ways too. Like, is my kid actually doing something wrong? Because you know how many times we're just like annoyed at our kids because they're thumping their finger or just doing something annoying because we're so stressed and overwhelmed. Like, especially with sounds, right? My sound bucket is like full to overflowing all the time. And that's why I call it my quiet box time. I need to just, you know, reset my auditory bucket, And so I asked myself that about my kids. Are they actually doing something wrong or are they just bugging me? So I need to remove myself from them because they're just kids being kids and I'm the one that needs to stop, not them.
Yes, totally. Story of my life. I have three boys, and you probably know as the older they get, like my 11-year-old, oh, bless his heart, he'll like create some annoying sound or noise or word or something, and he'll just go on repeat as he's
Uh,
like doing a chore.
uh-huh.
And it is so annoying. Like, and he's literally not really doing anything wrong. He's just entertaining himself as
Yeah.
he's doing a chore. So it's less boring for him.
Uh-huh.
But my goodness, if I'm already like having a tough day, like yesterday, I was having a rough evening with the kids and like he was making an annoying sound. I'm like, please just stop. Like it's not you who's the problem. I'm the problem here, right? Like I'm having a hard time, a hard evening. Like, and I couldn't like he was in the kitchen and I had to do stuff in there. So I couldn't like leave to a different space.
Yeah.
So please just
I
stop
know.
for a little bit.
Yeah. And I'll even tell them that, like, Well, and it's funny because I used to always say this, even like when I was single, whatever, I would always say, "You're not annoying. I'm just annoyed."
Yeah.
Like,
That's a good
because
one.
the way we just blame everyone else for our emotions, and even that's not a problem that I'm annoyed. I'm feeling annoyed. It's just a feeling. It's fine.
Yes.
Like I can process through the annoyance, but if the alternative to that is I just keep thinking, oh, he's so annoying. He's so annoying. He's so annoying, which again is a lie in my brain that I need to manage that brain a little better. Not I need to manage his behavior. I need to manage my own thoughts and feelings. And like, and especially in the evening, by the time the prefrontal cortex has gone to bed long before the babies have, it's like, yeah, just cut myself some slack. And, yeah, he's not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. We're all just humans doing the best we can. That's kind of one of my
Mm-hmm.
mantras that I always remind myself.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, this has been so fun, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming on. Is there any last words of wisdom you want to share?
I would just want to like go back to that phrase that I've said earlier. That's what I want your listeners to walk away with is nobody benefits when you're running it empty and nobody suffers when you take care of yourself. And so you matter. It's not that you're more important than your kids. It's that you are important too. And if you are run down, exhausted, and starting to have a bunch of health issues, who's going to take care of your family? Okay. You need to take care of yourself because you matter and you are valuable and you are important. That's what I want your listeners to walk away with.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That is, yes. Amen. Okay, where can people find you to learn more from you?
Yeah, I put together a resource for your listeners. It's 5 ways to calm down when you're feeling triggered.
Awesome.
And, especially as a parent, when you have multiple kids, I think you experience that. And so I will give that to you and you put it in the show notes. And it's just a link that will lead to my website. And then I also have a podcast called Emotionally Healthy Legacy. So you're welcome to check that out.
So good. I was just talking about emotional health with my T1D moms. We do a support group call for moms that have kids with type 1 diabetes. And emotionally healthy, I just love that so much because we know about our physical health, right? And then what are we doing to take care of our emotional health? We don't, like you said, we don't need to wait until we're drowning and it's an emergency and we're having a mental health crisis. There's like daily, hourly, minutely emotional and mental health that we can just kind of maintain instead of waiting until it's an emergency. So that's so good. All right. Well, thanks so much. 5 ways to calm down when you're feeling triggered. And I have 5 kids, so I need 5 ways. So that's perfect. All right. Thanks again. And
Yeah,
we'll
thank
talk
you
to
for
everyone
having me.
next time.